Hello guys, welcome to today's video. So it's all about layer one solutions. We're looking at Ethereum, Solana, looking at Cardano, just tons. I know the thing is, we're going to we're going to analyze some of the key on-chain data. We're also going to look at potentially why some are seen to be quite good and some quite bad and why they need, scaling solutions. But we're going to get a very good understanding. And we're not going to cover everything, though. Yes, there are tons of layer ones. Yes, we're going to leave some out. Yes, we're going to leave details out, but you can't go through every layer one solution in detail and keep it quick anyway.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about, and as we say, we'll go through as much as we can, and just compare them against each other as well slightly. So we'll get through that.
Yes. Exactly. Because we want to kind of find out, like, if we're going to invest in a layer one, which one are we choosing?
Yeah.
That's the key question. But let's start off. For anyone who isn't fully aware, let's have a look at layer one. So what is a layer one? So a layer one blockchain is basically a blockchain on which other things are built. And we can go down here, probably find, a nice technical definition. I'll give you an example in a second. Defined as a set of solutions implemented on the base protocol of a blockchain in order to improve its functionality and scalability. That is the most boring thing, and I still don't even understand it. So what I want to say that a layer one solution is very much think of, the app stores, think of Apple, Android. These are, the platforms. These are the layer one, the blockchain. So you build an app on the Apple App Store, for example. It's got to, it will adhere to the Apple App Store. And the end goal here is that these different companies, Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, whoever it is, they want to build the most appealing and most functional kind of platform on which you can then build your decentralized apps, your DeFi, all these different things.
It's sort of like the social media race, isn't it? All the social media companies are fighting to be that one main social media platform that everyone uses. And a lot of them, they're doing a lot of similar things now. You've got all these Instagram reels, you've got TikTok, and Snapchat. They're all doing the same thing now, but they're all fighting to be that one, that one social media that everyone uses, and that's exactly the same thing that's happening here.
Because that's it. I mean, they build a thing. They build Snapchat. They build Instagram. They build, TikTok. And the whole idea is to have as many people on that platform and as many users so that they can bring in advertisers, they can bring in developers to make new features. And this is exactly the same as what Ethereum and all these different layer one solutions are doing. So just want to show you a picture. So this is a layer one, is essentially this big block. So Ethereum would be a layer one solution. And then the layer two solutions are the ones that kind of sit on top of Ethereum. So this is just like a picture of it. And yes, there are loads on Solana, but layer two kind of, these are scaling solutions. You've got Polygon, that's Matic, sitting on Ethereum, on Cosmos, Terra, on Bitcoin, you've got the Lightning Network for transactions. Now, I'm going to keep going through these quite quickly, but just have a look. So I just want to show you, we're going to go through quite a lot of different protocols today, but, these were the OG protocols, the originals. So back in 2014, you had Stellar, you had Ethereum, and then 2015 we see XEM. So coming through, average block time, really quite, extremely fast, I guess, relative, for Ethereum. But nowadays we're looking at thousands per second, like a crazy number. And I'm sure, you can kind of look at this and everyone's like, oh, yeah, I didn't even know that this one existed. Or, like EOS, what happened to this?
Yeah.
So you kind of get, there has been a massive, a massive transition. I just wanted to show you that. And I mentioned about layer two. I actually don't think I'm going to go into this. We don't necessarily need this. A layer two is just, like I said, something that sits on top of a layer one. Sits on top of this layer one in order to make sure that the layer one can process more transactions, either more securely, cheaper, or faster.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty much it. I think I've summed that up, haven't I? That's the holy trinity of layer ones, isn't it, AJ?
It is, yeah.
So here are some of the main ones. I've just gone through I'm on CoinMarketCap. I've customized it just on platforms. Yes, Ethereum should be on here, but we have Cardano, we have Solana, you have things like Algorand, for example. I won't mention that at the moment, but those, Algorand is actually seen to be extremely scalable. Internet computer, again, another one. Tezos as well, Cosmos. So there are a lot of layer one solutions on which other projects can be built. These are seen as platforms, should we say. So jumping in, we've been through this. I'm not going to go into this. I will just say you can look at DeFi Llama and kind of see some of the major chains. This is not all of them, but looking at total value locked, this is, you have Ethereum sitting at $69 billion, Binance Smart Chain 8.2, Tron at 6.23. But let's have a quick look now at some of a quick comparison side by side, but only of the major ones, guys, because we're going to stick to that, as you see here.
Yeah. So here we do have an analysis from the A16Z crypto report, and it shows a number of active addresses per chain. So 15.4 million for Solana, 5.5 million for Ethereum, etc. And this is on a 30-day basis, so it's not on a daily basis, it's on a 30-day basis. That's why you see these high numbers, but you can see Solana by far has the most active addresses for its chain.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was done by Andreessen Horowitz, who obviously are massive. They just raised $4 billion to actually invest in different crypto projects. Now, getting into investing, MasterCard, UBS, JPM poured 65 million into Ethereum startup Consensus. Now, this is where, things get a little bit cloudy. So Consensus is pretty much the primary builder on Ethereum itself. But people are kind of worrying that JP Morgan have a little bit too much control. So JP Morgan is using Ethereum to launch a digital US dollar. Now, who wrote this? This was Andrew Keys. He's the co-founder of Consensus. Now, there was a recent lawsuit that reveals JP Morgan owns critical Ethereum infrastructure. So going through this, I'm not going to go through all of it, but just looking through the kind of main headline, a group of 35 shareholders of Ethereum giant Consensus have filed for a special audit of a 2020 deal that saw JPM Chase acquire an influential stake in two of its flagship products, which, for anybody who's kind of into Ethereum or into the general world of crypto, this is arguably a massive conflict of interest, because we know that in the past, JPM have been accused and actually had to pay tons of fines for manipulating the gold market. I believe it was a couple of years ago. And also now that they own a lot of Ethereum, they could be liable to manipulate it in a certain way. But that's just some politics, I guess. What we really want to look at is how is the whole layer one and the whole Web3 kind of system growing. So at least there are currently 18,000 active developers. Now let's have a look at where those developers are kind of published, or where they are, should we say. So here's just some of the numbers. You can have a look through Electric Capital. I recommend you do. This was published in early 2022, but it goes through the growth of some of the chains. So the largest ecosystems by far: Ethereum, Polkadot, Cosmos, Solana, BSC, Near, Avalanche, Tezos, Polygon, and Cardano, each with 250 monthly active. Now, Ethereum retains 30% of full-time developers who joined after 2017, which is an awful lot. And it still has the largest ecosystem of tools, apps, protocols, and is 2.8 times larger than the second largest ecosystem, which is it is crazy, guys. You can have a look through, Ethereum, it's extremely well decentralized at nearly 400,000 total validators, nearly 13.5 million ETH staked. And I would go through and show you, this is just the DeFi ecosystem. Look, we're going through asset management tools. Boom. Alternative savings, derivatives. Boom. Look how far down I am on the page. I'm not even going to bother. you know, but they have an unbelievable amount. OpenSea, we're all very familiar for NFTs. Looking at some of their nodes, tons of nodes. So total of 2,113 nodes. Next, I want to look at Solana. So we saw here that actually no, Ethereum. Just before I jump into Solana, let's have a look at some Ethereum kind of on-chain stuff here, AJ.
Yeah. So quickly, I just want to mention sort of the DAU, which is daily active users. It's it sort of correlates, and this is what I'm going to be showing you today as well. With all these layer one solutions, that the DAU, which is the daily active users, correlates with, so the number of DAUs correlates sort of with the price, and we can see that with Ethereum versus the Ethereum daily active users versus price. And this is a very good chart from Masuri. So you can see that over time, the blue line, which is the number of active users, and the white line, which is the price action of Ethereum. So you can see very clearly that over the last 12 months, there has been a slight decrease in actual price, and also a slight decrease in the number of active users. So from that perspective, you can see that there is a correlation, but we can also dig a little bit deeper, and we can look at some of the other sources that I have found as well. And this is one from Into the Block. So we found data that's come from different sources. Was actually, we found that data from different sources was actually different. So, I tried to double check everything. So I got this chart from Into the Block, and here it was, pretty in sync. And you can see on the daily active users and the price correlation, they're pretty much the same. And, they are both down over the last 12 months.
Absolutely, yeah. So you can just see that there. It's falling. Yeah. It's not great. What we want to do now is kind of move on a little bit to, let's say, Solana, for example, where if we have a look here, obviously it's a much smaller project. We're seeing this. We're going to have exactly the same thing when we look at the technicals of this. But, number of validators, 1,770. Really not that much. This does call for a lot of people to be worried about it. We'll get into that in a second, but it does have some really cool projects, and it's been dubbed the Ethereum killer, and that also has been quite tough. Looking at this, it goes dark for the 7th time in 12 months. Your project's not going to knock the king off its throne if your project goes down all the time, and everybody worries about how centralized it is or decentralized it is. It's really not kind of sustainable, but I quite like it, We do have some trending projects. Stepin, that's been a massive hit recently. And, you can go through, there's loads of DeFi projects, lending protocols, Web3. Nice. Brave Browser, shout out here. Give me some back token. Yeah, exactly. Pay me. But then also, so for example, their NFT marketplace, Magic Eden, I quite like this. I've got myself.
You've got some, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got my little NFT guy up here. He seems pretty happy. So yeah, I think it is. I think it's relatively good. Have you got any technicals on Solana you want to show?
Yeah, we can have a look at Solana. I'll just share my screen. So yeah, let's look at Solana. And when we looked at the A16 report, it said that 15.4 million monthly active user addresses. And on this June report that we can see that around 400, there's up to 450 daily active users, but you could say 450,000 active users times 30 is that's almost 15 million. I think it's around 13.5 million if I'm right. That kind of corroborates to that. But the important thing to look at here is that basically in July 2021, nothing much was happening on the chain. It had about 25,000 daily active users versus today, nearly 500,000. And, it's a pretty extreme move for, 11 months from, going from 25,000 daily active users all the way up to, almost 500,000 daily active users. Unfortunately, we haven't really seen that in the price, but again, you can see that the daily active users are increasing pretty substantially.
And I think that comes as the narrative about this is very much hit an all-time high, and everyone's like, "Whoa, this is crazy!" And then obviously that kind of fell, but you still had people. It really brought Solana, going from $20 to all-time high of like 260 or something in such a short period of time. Everyone was just like, "What the heck?" And so that's why I think people have now been like, "Oh, okay, maybe I should pay attention to this little sleeping beast."
Yeah, I think a lot of this is from the NFTs as well, because Ethereum NFTs are so expensive now, the fees as well. So I think a lot more people, and I know you've done it, so a lot more people sort of moving to that Solana for NFTs because they're a lot cheaper and the fees are incredibly cheap.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, next I want to go on to and show you Cardano, I should say. So, Cardano, I really like it. Everyone's very familiar. It has to be talked about when you're talking about layer ones. They have such great use cases, bringing together communities, going and actually having large use cases in the likes of Ethiopia, places where, crypto really will, well, maybe not so much crypto, but definitely blockchain technology really will be great because of that kind of transparency and lack of corruption. Now, I believe they've hit 1,000 apps on their store only a couple of days ago, which is really good for the system. And you can see some of them here. Like we're looking at everything: gaming, social, decentralized exchanges, payments, identity, gambling, community, obviously meme coins. Go on, meme coins. But yeah, like a ton of wallets, DeFi, everything. So which, this does make me really quite happy for Cardano. And I'm just going to kind of leave that there. I really like the project. I think the use cases they have is done well. And also it was obviously started by a co-founder of Ethereum, Charles Hoskinson, which is very similar for Polkadot. So Polkadot was also started by a co-founder of Ethereum. Is there anything you want to talk about quickly on Cardano before we jump on to Polkadot, AJ?
We could have a look at the daily active addresses, or did you want to move on to Polkadot?
No, let's do that. Let's have a quick look at the daily active addresses.
Yeah. Okay, now let's look at the Cardano daily active addresses versus the price. This was a very interesting chart. Cardano's price action obviously went from about $30 from $1.30 a year ago to $3 in August, to about 50 cents now. And the number of users, it picked up from the summer and it spiked all the way up at that level. You can see here in the middle towards the end of October 2021. Since then, it's pretty much tanked. And Masuri says that as of right now, there are only around 81,000 daily active users today on Cardano. I'll compare this I'll compare this all at the end as well, by the way. But I just want to give sort of an introduction to you about it. We have that. I just lost that there. We have Cardano. There we go. Sorry. Yeah. So I've just got at the end. I just want to compare them all for you. Cardano's daily active addresses from another view from Into the Block. The same thing. It correlates with the data before, but they just see about 180,000 daily active users. So again, slightly different, but it all depends on what people are sending and receiving, or staking, or restaking, etc. And that needs to be looked at when you are looking at the numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like I said, I really like Cardano.
Yeah.
I think the time is not here yet, unfortunately, for it. Everyone's caught up in Ethereum. There's too much competition, I'd say, at the moment. And I think they will have a breakthrough. I just it just hasn't come yet.
Personally, they don't get talked about enough from my point of view.
I agree. I absolutely agree with you there. I really do. But moving on quickly to Polkadot. So Dr. Gavin Wood, like I said, co-founder of Ethereum, went off and started his own gig called Polkadot. Now, they are a little bit more centralized than the previous three we've just mentioned, with only 297 validators. Now, they are on a mission. I think it's called the 1,000 validator journey. I want to say journey. That's probably not right, but they're going to get to 1,000 validators. That's their overall goal. And you know, so yes, it's more centralized. Yes, it's a much smaller chain, but you know, I think this has a little bit of potential. You know, there's quite an inflation rate of 7.83%. That's not necessarily great if you are staking, because you're going to want staking rewards much higher than Polkadot. Than 7.83%. Do you have on-chain data for this?
Yeah, we can have a look at that quick.
Yes, back on screen.
Yeah, so let's look at Polkadot. Now, Polkadot also has their staking and restaking issue, issue in May. Staking and restaking issue in May. That's huge spike down, which we did see in May, and but you can see that the price of Polkadot, it went down a little bit in July period, then it shot up in where is it gone? Sorry, my keyboard's been a bit sensitive today. Right, where's it gone? There we go. So yeah, we can see that it shot up in November, hitting all-time highs, tracking very closely with Bitcoin, and since then tanking all the way down. But also daily active users has followed to a large extent with this trend. So here you do see the correlation again between daily active users and price, which I think is very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, one thing actually, the price has dropped a lot more than daily active users, which kind of indicates a little bit of stickiness with the with the community, which is a good thing, which is a very good thing.
Yeah.
Next we have Avalanche. So AVAX, again, this is is it top 10? It's definitely up there. Let me have a look. AVAX. It always depends. The price is always moving up and down, but I can't find that at the moment. But yes, so validators 1,422, so not too far off of Solana in this. So we have a staking ratio. This is one thing that's actually quite good. So staking ratio of 65%, relatively high, and an annual staking reward of 9.2%.
Avalanche is 15, just to confirm, it's 15.
It's 15th, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, and I know it's taken a big dive recently, a very big dive. But even Avalanche have kind of branched out, and now they've got NFTs as well, and everything like this is one thing that not a lot of people know about. So I wanted to obviously let you know. But yeah, AVAX NFTs, you can head over here if you are interested in Avalanche NFTs. Let's have a quick look at some of that data for Avalanche.
Yeah, Avalanche went from zero to hero in the summer of 2021, from again very little daily active users to a huge spike of over 160,000. But it peaked, in January of this year, and since then it's been falling very quickly, up and down as well for Avalanche. And I believe it's all part of this whole incentive. Some reason people sometimes promote chains with very generous incentives.
Yeah, well, they do just to kind of jump on that hype train, and then once something's hyped up, it's gets unhyped is not really the word, but if what goes up quickly falls down quickly, and that's not the phrase. I'm sure there's a phrase for it, but absolutely.
What goes up must come down. So I don't know.
Yeah. So the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Something like that.
Yeah.
The bigger the hype, the harder they fall. Now I want to talk about Tron. So Tron, you guys know if you've watched the channel, I have a bit of a running story with Tron. I don't have an opinion about them, is all I'm going to say. So just want to mention, obviously, this is also a layer one solution. And in fact, they have launched their own stablecoin, USDD and USDJ, in fact. But we can have a look, so total accounts. One thing that is interesting is the staking rate of 41%. So staked a lot less than what we saw on AVAX. But the reason why there is quite a lot actually staked, and okay, total transfer. Whoa, that's a lot of transfer. But total value locked, this is relatively high. Now, that is because the USDD. Now they are offering up to a 30% APY on your money if you stake your USDD coin. And that is in one of the protocols. Watch our previous videos if you want to find out a little bit more about Tron. But we'll have a quick look at some of the user data that we have on screen.
So Tron is one of the few that has seen, an uptake in price in correlation to addresses. The addresses uptick. Also, you can see some crazy numbers. So again, the white line is Tron's price action up. Up to November down. So it went up in November, and then we've come back down. But it's weathered the storm. This crypto crash so far in 2022, and it's doing really well as of now. But one of the things that surprised me was the total number of daily active users is about 2.1 million. And the question is, why does Tron have such a substantial amount of daily active users? Yeah,
I know the answer.
Yeah, well, what I found, and I don't know if this is what you found, they have an online blockchain gambling application, dApps, all over the place, based in Asia, and they are contributing a huge amount of daily active users. So what we can take from here is that gambling apparently in Asia is
big business.
Is a big business, and Tron is the leader in the space.
No, I did. I heard about that. And also, I just want to mention they have a 30% dividend yield. Oh, no, not dividend, 30% APY.
Yeah,
everyone's checking it. It's an algorithmic stable coin. When's it going to crash? I'm not saying that it's going to crash, but there, that's our good old friend. What's it, Justin Sun of Tron. Now, guys, I'm going to quickly just go through Elrond, another great chain that's kind of unheard of. I think it's got huge potential. Looking at some of the staking metrics, 56%, really quite high. And I quite like Elrond. Daily transactions have obviously, they're down quite a lot. Took a big spike, had a lot of hype, and now it's kind of slowly falling down. Lots of addresses being added per day. So this is one of the projects that I think could be good in the, very big in the future. Phantom, again, is another one that I quite like. It had a very high ratio of total value locked against its price, which is a really good indicator for me. It's very similar to a price to earnings ratio for a company. But I won't spend too much time on Phantom. This is actually a coin that I actually really, really like. And again, kind of flies under the radar. And then, we have Binance Smart Chain. But I'm not really going to mention too much of that. I'm going to finish up here on Rose, and then we'll have a quick comparison. Rose, we did a full video on this. I believe it was earlier on in the week or at the end of last week. So if you haven't seen that, this is both a layer 1 and layer 2 solution all combined into one. And the way in which they do it is extremely intelligent, and kind of negates the need for things like Ethereum, where you have to have a scaling solution bolted on and, essentially a clunky ecosystem just to try and deal with, demand that wasn't anticipated.
Yeah.
So here we are now. Walk us through what we have in terms of these daily active addresses.
Yeah, let's compare charts of 4 of the biggest chains, and this tells us that this tells us an interesting picture. The top left corner is Solana, the bottom left is Matic, and the top right is Ethereum, and the bottom right is BNB. You can see that all these chains next to each. You can see all these chains are next to each other. So you can see ETH, is pretty flat, with with a slight decrease if you are going into the details. BNB is down from from its peak and has just been gradually going down. Matic is up, and it is up, but it has slightly tailed off, and I think we are sort of seeing that in the price as well. Also, during a bear market, sometimes chains do tail off. from popularity, and also just taking a look at Solana as well. Solana is the only chain which is actually up, and is up by quite a lot. As I said earlier, June, and August, we were sort of just around 25,000 active addresses, and now we are around 450,000 active addresses. So we have seen a pretty substantial spike for Solana. Solana is doing, not the price, no, but active addresses is doing very well. We also have this chart here. Now this is a graphical representation with lines of all the top chains. You can see the blue. The blue at the top is Ethereum, and you can see it's kind of flat towards the downside. Over time, you get the yellow. We've got this yellow spike as well. That yellow spike with a big red arrow is Solana. We've seen that on the other charts here. You can see that massive spike in the daily active users. So this is just sort of giving you an understanding of what's happening with all the chains daily active users sort of compared to each other. We also had Algorand here had a massive spike here, and since then we've seen that tank as well.
Very much tailed off. Yeah. So to kind of summarize here, guys, the key things that that I look for is I love smart contract coins. I view them as the companies of the crypto world. Those are the ones that are going to be having customers. They're going to be earning fees. They're going to be creating products. They're going to be having things that we use day in, day out. Very much think of Ethereum the same as like Facebook, for example. Facebook are making a metaverse, and then you can talk about Ethereum having its own thing. It's not a direct comparison. I know they're not companies, but they are chains. They are producing things, and I think this is quite important. And so this is actually a really nice comparison here.
Yeah, this just simplifies it for us, sort of the top ones as well. So this gives us sort of like the comparison of transaction speed. So Ethereum is this is average as well, because like Solana, that has a maximum capacity of around 65,000 transactions per second, but this just gives us an average. So Ethereum's between 15 and 20 transactions per second. Cardano's 2. Solana, massive amounts of transactions per second, which they can achieve between, on an average, 2,000 to 3,000 transactions per second. Avalanche, 4.5 transactions per second, and Algorand 2 transactions per second. And then the internet computer, 11,500 transactions per second. So this just gives us a rundown. It gives us a comparison. Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, and Avalanche. From what this is saying, they are not very scalable, but Algorand is more scalable, and internet computer is indefinitely scalable. So you can have a look through this, compare it, and do your own research and see which ones are more attractive for you to invest in yourself. I know what I am investing in personally, and that's Solana. Hopefully they can sort out their issues with their blackouts. But for me personally, Solana is a big one that I am investing into. Not as of yet. I am just waiting for Bitcoin to bottom out. But yeah, once I'm happy that Bitcoin's bottom out, Solana is going to be one of my biggest coins that I'm going to be investing into. One of the biggest layer ones.
Yeah, and I would agree with you. I really like Solana. I think it's got a great future. There are obviously issues with the blackouts, but given, like you said, the amount of developers that are joining this space, given the NFTs that are being minted, there's so many different projects that are being built on Solana, and I think people are eventually going to diversify away from Ethereum. And in my opinion, I think that I've always said there has to be a bubble popping for Ethereum NFTs. They're too expensive. They're only for people who have a lot of money who are flipping them, or then rich people coming in and buying a CryptoPunk for $2 million because they don't really care, But the average person can't do that. And I think eventually we're going to have to get to a point where we are very much democratized in this space, and that has to be where everything is cheaper, and that's probably going to be, well, it's definitely going to be on a different chain, but the question is which one, and I would probably argue that Solana is probably going to be the best one for it in the medium term.
Yeah, that's where I think Solana comes in. And yeah, as you said, medium term. In the long term, this could all completely change. You know, all the top layer ones could completely change. So we have to take that into account. But yeah, I think Solana
that is where. Yeah.
Sorry,
so
go on.
That is. No, I was going to say that's where we're we're kind of looking for now. Obviously, Ethereum, it is number one. It still is. You've got the merge coming up. That's going to move from proof of work to proof of stake, and I think that will run quite smoothly given the news I'm hearing. So all in all, Ethereum is still number one. Best developers, best apps, most selection. But it's not necessarily the best blockchain. It doesn't need to be. It just needs to be the best place for you to go if you want to use or build an app. Which right now it is because of the community. But I think that's going to change. And as investors, we want to be an early adopter of that change.
Yeah. So let us know down below which one is your favorite layer one.
Yes. And like I said in the beginning, we have missed some out. Drop those down. I'm really interested to hear exactly which ones we haven't spoken about, but should have. And really what you think is going to be that number one. Currently we're using Yahoo, Ask Jeeves, these old search engines. What's going to be that Google? Drop that down in the comments. I'll be interested to hear.
Yeah, I'll be interested as well.
Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please smash that like button.
Yes, man. And also subscribe.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Take care, guys. Thank you.